You have been on parole twice. Those paroles have now been revoked twice. Um, the other thing I wanted to address with you is this. It looks like there's a federal detainer and for possession of a firearm by a restricted person. Has that case been resolved?
So every time I'm paroled here, I'm not actually paroled to the streets. I'm put into federal custody in both of the times that I've paroled. So if the state grants me parole, I will not be released to the streets. I'd be released to my federal detainer.
Okay.
Where on the same parole violations, these ones, so my sentences are consecutive. So I have to deal with the federal system after this.
Okay. And tell me what you know. I can look this up, but just tell me what your understanding is of that case, what you've been sentenced to.
I haven't been sentenced yet. I haven't seen the magistrate or a judge because like it's a consecutive. So
Okay.
once I'm released from state custody is when that whole process begins.
Okay, and I assume that because usually when it's consecutive, it just means that there's been a disposition
Yeah.
or finality in the case. But so you're telling me there's been nothing done yet in that case?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to also then say, um, the underlying parole violation was from this November 5th incident involving APMP conducting this check. New criminal charges came from that. We've talked about that. In fact, the bulk of your admissions were to that. So you were therefore booked back into prison back in November of also then 2023. So something that, of course, the board looks at very seriously. If it's not the first thing that we look at, it's just seeing like how things have been since we've been in prison here. And it looks like there have been additional disciplinary issues, an incident date from January 3rd, 2024, it being a refusal order. And there was a hearing on that. Then also what was documented as a pending disciplinary issue where there was a weapon that was confiscated back in August 21. So just a few weeks ago. So as you would imagine, in our position, looking at this, we'd look at behavior because that's the clearest indicator as to how things are going. So obviously, there's been some behavioral issues, some serious ones even here in the prison. What do you think would be fair for me to know about that, if anything? Like what's going on and why does this continue to happen in terms of behavioral issues?
Um, so in January there was a fight, and it was really out of my hands. Like an inmate, hit me, so I engaged in a fight, and there's no excuse for that behavior. Like I told IDHO, like I admit full fault for what I did. And as far as the weapon goes, I ain't saying that the weapon was mine, but it was found in a mattress. And the mattresses are passed throughout the prison system. Like they're not issued brand new to any one inmate. So that's still something that's ongoing.
Okay, so that's still ongoing. Okay, and I'll note that. Okay, that's fair to you. Okay, there's not a finding there, as at least from what I've seen, that's been entered. But it would be unfair for you to have me walk out of this room and you walk out of this room without addressing. That's a pretty big elephant in the room of seeing those things.
Yeah.
Another thing is that it notes that, of course, documented gang member as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
I've been a gang member for the majority of my life.
Okay.
And it's not something I deny, or it's something that's pretty well known. But my gang association is at this point in my life is at a minimum. I mean, I was violated for associating with gang members, but the gang members that I associated with were not from the gang that I'm from. It was at a funeral, at a viewing. We were pallbearers for one of my friends that passed away, and we took a picture, and that's what the violation was. And I I don't deny the allegation because that's what happened. There was several gang members in the picture, but they were all just pallbearers at a funeral.
Okay, okay, good. And honestly, I appreciate the honesty and just acknowledgement of that. And again, it's one of those things that I feel like we have some curiosity in to kind of see where that is. I would imagine that association has brought some of these issues up in terms of criminal cases and even things happening inside the prison. So it's something that we just have to, of course, understand and address. As you look forward to your life, eventually, having the privilege of being on a parole or doing that, what does that look like for you?
Um, well, I'd love to be paroled. I mean, I have children.
Mhm.
Uh, I communicate with them as often as possible. I have a job lined up for when I do get parole.
Where's that at?
It's at Compass Minerals, and it's through a temp agency because just where you start off. It's Your Employment Solutions, and I have an address as well as my sister's house.
Okay. You still have this federal detainer, this federal case to eventually to resolve
Yes.
as well. Okay. All right. So I had to go through those allegations. Obviously, they're concerning allegations. We've done that. Your parole has been revoked. I wanted to follow up with you on these specific issues, particularly the disciplinary issues, the non-compliance, the gang issues, what you know life looks like you in the future. Want to cover that ground. That's pretty much what I wanted to do here today. Okay.
Okay.
I told you at the beginning that there would be time and space in this hearing for you to address anything that you feel like would be good, or do you feel like we've covered it?
I feel like we've covered pretty much everything.
Okay. So what you'll see is you'll get something in writing. It'll come back in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Okay. I cannot urge you enough to know that being discipline free here in the prison is just really the best thing you can do. The next best thing you can do is avail yourself of any classes, programmings, treatment, whatever you can to address these issues. Okay. I know that there are these underlying issues, multiple of them, including drugs and those things and behavioral things. You're 32 years old, you're a father, you have kids. Okay. These are things that really just need to be addressed. Okay. And you have the full power to do that. I hope you do, because there are people that can rely upon you for those things and that you can have a future. I've seen it time and time again, even with gang members, many of them, where they just kind of wake up and come to their senses and just decide, you know what, I want to be a dad. I'm going to address these things. And sir, you have every ability to do the same thing. All right. Appreciate your demeanor here. Appreciate your honesty here. Appreciate you answering these questions. And I do wish you all the best. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. So is it Arballo? Am I saying that?
Arvallo.
Arballo. Okay. All right. Nice to meet you. Best
Nice
of
to
luck.
meet you as well.
So this was a parole revocation hearing, just one of many. What's interesting is that he ran away in 2016, who walked away from parole, which is just absolutely insane. And yeah, you won't recognize him in this picture without all the face ink. But the interesting thing about Utah is that we see this all the time. They go in looking, quite normal, and then sometime through the process they get initiated and then they get inked up. And it's very clear to anybody that watches enough these parole hearings that the rehabilitation part of the DOC, it doesn't seem to happen in Utah. People just get initiated, they become members, they are indoctrinated into an entirely different, and that's what happens. And Utah probably does not want you to know this, which is why Utah stopped making these parole hearings viewable to the public. They've written new laws to make it so they claim it's for security reasons. BS. We've been calling them out and they got pissed off and stopped us. But don't worry, we've recorded over 1,000 parole hearings, and I can go through each of them and give you updates. For example, on this case, we can go and pull up the most recent updates. We go all the way down here from 5/26/2020 up until the present date, October 25th, 2025. He does not yet have a scheduled parole hearing. They are doing a paper review, and then they'll make a hearing and then a decision. And this is why when we do updates, we can let you know, hey, he was denied but had a rehearing was granted, or was granted, and guess what? He's back in jail, or she is back in jail, or other updates. So I've been doing that, and if you want me to continue doing it, let me know in the comment section. As you can see here, he has his 2020 original hearing date. It's just well, you got to give Utah credit for at least having really well documented information still available, even if we can't get the hearings. But you know, that was interesting. It wasn't my knife. It's inside your man. No. You see, it's the mattresses that get passed around, and someone just left the shank in there. I find that very hard to believe. But you know, the parole interview is like, okay, okay, maybe I guess you haven't been found guilty, but come on. And he, you know, it's interesting. He admits to being still involved, which, you know, I think it's only Utah will, I think, release. Yeah, Utah does release those who admit to being involved in the gang. You know, other states, it's like you'll have to deny your gang affiliation to get. You'll have to say, no, I'm not involved anymore. I'm done. I've been brainwashed out of it. Whatever reason you might give to get parole, but not in Utah. Utah, they do parole admitted members, which is just nuts to me. But there you have it. And if you want to see more hearings like this, let me know. With that, I'll let you go.
An inmate, hit me, so I engaged in a fight, and there's no excuse for that behavior. Like I told IDHO, like, I admit full fault for what I did. And as far as the weapon goes, I ain't saying that the weapon was mine, but it was found in a mattress, and the mattresses are passed throughout the prison system. Like they're not issued brand new to any one inmate, so that's still something that's ongoing.